not following their products.
Clover is excellent, yes. Okay, so this should have some nice nodules on it. It's well into its growth pattern. So see that massive nodule there? That thing that looks like fungi? That's nitrogen nodules on a nitrogen-fixing leguminous plant, which is barometic, better known as the mongrel burr thing that gets in all your stuff. That plant is all edible if you wanted to eat it. It's not that nice, the tips are quite nice. A lot of people will eat the clovers, so the white flowering clovers and the red flowering clovers are more medicinal, and pick the flower and eat the flower, and that's fairly palatable. The leaves of this, you don't want to be eating that as your whole salad because there are some toxins in it. It's probably to manage stock grazing on it so that they don't get eaten out. A lot of plants have an inbuilt mechanism where if you eat them all day for a week, they're going to make you sick, but then, most things have that inbuilt mechanism in them. So I wouldn't deliberately grow this because the burrs are quite annoying, but as I said, you can grow clovers, which are a lot less annoying. You can grow lucerne, alfalfa stuff, and all of the leaf tips there, they taste like beans. They got that kind of beany flavour. But
and
that
burrs,
said,
how would they be?
What's that?
The burrs, do you eat them?
I think I've eaten the burrs when they're young, and the little seeds inside are sweet, but you've got to get them pretty early. And there's certain weeds that grow right on the ground, and they're always covered in dirt.
Yes.
So you'll find that it's just not worth the effort, because it's always gritty. So yeah, that's the kind of plant. You can see that's trying to cover the ground. And when this has lots of competition, you'll notice two weeds that have no competition and are trying to cover the ground are flat. The same weed in a more competitive environment is up and straight and has a totally different growth habit. So they adjust themselves to what they need to do.
So you wouldn't want to be weeding around here because it's doing a good job?
Well, essentially they're all doing a job. When you've got wind dispersal weeds like the sow thistle and the dandelion and the wild dandelions, in some ways I think it's fairly responsible if you're growing weeds to stop them blowing all over your neighbour's place because it just annoys them. They want their lawn, and it's and they're going to a lot of effort to have no weeds in their lawn. So I tend to try and, even though I've got loads of sow thistle and stuff, I tend to try and nail it before it puts seed through the whole neighbourhood. But look, if all you've got growing is weeds, the soil is a million times healthier than nothing growing.
What's this one? See that little red, yellow flower?
That's oxalis.
Oh, that's
been
sourgrass.
smashed a bit.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what this one is, but it's a leguminous. Anyone know more about that? So that'll be another form of your lucerne medico type pea family nitrogen fixers. Again, you can see the nodules, different type of nodules on this one.
Is that a big indicator, the nodules?
An indicator? Yeah, well, unless some plants will have lumps on there from root knot nematode, but normally you can tell the nitrogen fixing ones, they're white and they're kind of crusty when you crush them in your fingers, a bit like vermiculite, perlite.
Yeah.
Well, the white one that crunches up. Yeah. So, right, if I wanted to get these out, what I would probably do, I would hit that before it set all those burrs. I just have a little knife and I just go underneath and I cut that off like that. So it's covered in weeds, seed, and I don't want the seed, then I'll either put the weed and seed in a bucket to rot, or I'll burn it, or I'll actually occasionally I'll throw some greenery out in the bin, but it'll only be a really nasty seeding thing that I don't, but then you shouldn't do that anyway because it's just going to grow at the tip. You can, but not many people can hot compost properly. To kill most of these weed seeds, you need 65 degrees for 5 days in a row or something. And the amount of people that can actually hot compost properly, I can count on my hand in Perth probably. So it's too risky. Solarising, yep, well worth doing. Put it in a black bag, or if you've got an area of weeds and you don't want to spray them and you don't want to dig them out, or you've got grass, one option is covering it in plastic and cooking it, but you've got to do it for 3 months. It's got to be a proper cooking. You can't.
You mean cooking naturally, not...
Yeah, so white plastic or black plastic spread over the whole thing and a few bricks, and it gets to really hot down there, and everything that's there dies.
Right.
Now that's a little bit bad for the soil, but the soil biology bounces back really fast, because you can imagine there's all this dead biology there, and what does biology grow on? Dead biology. So
after you've done that, and to that point, then could you put it in your compost?
yeah, you could. The best thing to do with weed seed, so there's a technique called sheet mulching.
Yeah.
Right, where you put a whole bunch of cardboard down on newspaper and you build fertility on top and you garden on top of the soil profile. So in 6 months' time, the roots from those plants actually make it down into the soil, but that's okay because weeds don't magically get to the surface. The weed seed, the burden of seed is already down in the soil profile. It's another reason to practice no-dig gardening. So every time you turn the soil, you bring more new weed seeds back to the surface. And you stuff up the whole soil system that the plants and the fungi and the bacteria have set up. So more weeds are going to germinate to fix the soil structure that you just stuffed up by tilling it. So no dig's really useful. Building on top of the soil profile is really useful. Just because there's loads of weed seed in there doesn't mean it's not good quality soil for growing, and it just means that you're going to fight a battle against weeds. So get all your weed seeds and your crappy stuff, put it underneath, sheet mulch on top, get a new layer of compost and other things, and grow a garden bed on top, and in 6 months' time, when all that's gone, you should be fighting a better war against your weeds.
Can you use newspaper?
Yeah, newspaper's fine. You just need to overlap it a lot if you want to. I'm not big on sheet mulching runner grass because it just is really insidious, and you normally end up with really strong runner grass after you've sheet mulched it. So
I've had problems with oxalis too because it just grows up through.
Yeah,
you can mulch this thing. I've had a pile of mulch in there.
It's
and the
insane,
oxalis
isn't
has
it?
grown up through the pile of mulch from underneath.
And you get your fork and you dig and you dig and you dig, and then there's some roots about a metre down. Yeah. All right, we might wander that way. I think we're somewhat running out of. I did see one.